my God, Bills Bucs.
Bills Bucs. Old Josh Allen putting on a superhero cape.
Josh Allen did put on a superhero cape, but I'll just say this: like on a day where he tied Cam Newton for the NFL record in rushing touchdowns, I think it was like 75 or something from a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
It's ironic because like Cam would have these days where like he might throw a pick or two, but he just puts the fucking team on his back and goes and wins the game. And it wasn't perfect all the time, but damn it, if you were alive to see it, any of these young people that question Cam Newton and like what he was in his prime, you're too young. You weren't born early enough, and I don't blame you for being ignorant. Mm-hmm. But he was just a one-man band, and that was kind of like, ironically, he was doing it with like a vintage mid-2010s Cam Newton group outside. Somebody said in the chat last night, what do you have against Shavers? I got nothing against Shavers. I didn't call him an asshole. I just said he shouldn't be leading your team in receiving yards. They're doing this thing with Gabe Davis outside off the street. They're doing this thing with Shavers outside. They're doing this thing without Kincaid. And they're doing it against a good defense. That defense makes a lot of other people sweat. And so, the reason I kind of like on a week like last week where people are like, what's wrong with the offense? And I get it. Like, I shit on Josh last week. He didn't play well. There's nothing wrong with this offense. The defense eventually is what worries me on this team. But yesterday they were just able to outscore these guys. I thought Todd, and I respect it, the Warriors' spirit to be like, hey, and Shakir said it before the game, this is the most physical group of corners that we play. Todd was like, fuck this, we're going to play our game. We're going to man these guys up because we don't think they're that good outside. And Josh just made them pay for it. There were plays with the backs, getting them involved. Obviously when you're gonna sneak James Cook out through the B gap and Anthony Nelson's on him in the red zone, that is a mismatch. They found those mismatches, and I thought Joe Brady, for slumping as he's been, I thought closing out the game, that last drive, there were a lot of really good run concepts. Just Josh Palmer back on the field, the whole thing. I would say this about Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis, this works. Keon Coleman doesn't want to show up on time for shit. And you heard Deion Dawkins talk after the – sounded to me like somebody who's a good vet, who's going to be straight up with you, who's not going to sugarcoat it. He's not going to tell you he hates you or it's over for you, but he's going to tell you it's close. And that's kind of the way I think it is for Keon Coleman right now.
He's showing up late to stuff?
He missed a meeting. Suppose he missed a meeting like on Friday or something.
Oh, wow.
Which is a bad deal. That's the day everybody's supposed to be mentally on the ball in the building. And it doesn't matter when you miss a meeting, it's a bad deal. But the point is, I'm not saying it's addition by subtraction, but what it is Gabe Davis on the field. Think about them not making a move at the deadline. And, you heard rumblings of Jalen Waddle and that sort of thing. Brandon Beane not being willing to, like, part ways with what it would have taken. Now, you could have gone out and made a move for somebody like A.D. Mitchell or something, which is great. By the way, looks like the greatest receiver on the planet until the ball hits him in the hands. Fucking, you could make any number of small splash plays. The Gabe Davis play off the street is a really good one for me because you think about what they need is you need a guy to walk in and know how to just plug into the offense. This guy and Josh have been playing catch for years now.
Yep.
And I think him coming off the street, there's nobody like him. If Gabe Davis was like a Denver Bronco next week, everybody would be like, I don't know if he's going to make the team, And
Right.
they don't have the best receiving core outside, but it makes a lot of sense because of the familiarity. And I think like off the street, 4th and 4, going to him. How about that trust? I just think I think he took a step forward in the pass game yesterday. Defense is going to be a fucking hold on to your butt all year long, dude. But
I'm concerned, Chris. I have concerns.
Yeah.
On here, you mentioned it briefly, but the rushing defense. I mean, just with some of the injuries that they've had inside, Ed Oliver being gone has continued to just kind of rear its ugly head for me. Now the Bucs, they've had a pretty inconsistent rushing attack. I've talked a little bit about it. I like Sean Tucker. I like Rashad White a lot. I think they're good. Now Bucky Irving, I've always said like he's their guy. He brings the juice in their run game. But like this isn't a crew who should be putting up 200 yards on anybody every week. I don't think. With the injuries that they've had offensively on their offensive line, like how banged up they've been. Now, don't get me wrong, they're getting healthier. But I'm just trying to say, like, if there is a concern of mine for the Bills, defensively, it's the it's their run defense, and it's got to be, especially like this time of the year is when you want to have the strongest rush defense. Going into the playoffs, late season, cold games where teams kind of know who you are defensively. Like you've been putting the same stuff out on tape every single week. So I think that's going to be a pretty big concern of theirs going forward. I'm not sure how they, the best way for them to fix it. I just think this is a little bit of a glaring weakness.
There's no way out, bro. It's like at this point in the season, it's a sobering thing when the trade deadline passes and you look around at your room and you're like, not that most of my teams were ever like trying to buy at the deadline, but you're just like, nobody's coming to rescue us. Like if our D tackle group can't stop the run, like there's not a bunch of like, glass eaters just sitting out there on the street, ready to.
Well,
come
me
in.
and you are available, Chris.
We are available.
We've said that before. We're ready. Like I can get 12 to 15 snaps a game.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not popping my Achilles to play a 3 technique. Like that's what they tried to do to me in New England, bro. I'm not going back there. But like, no, the guys inside, like I said last week, it was a dumpster fire. The tape was terrible. And I also think the backers, man, like I thought Bernard made a lot of great plays yesterday, especially like knocking down perimeter screens and that sort of thing, like quick game out on the perimeter. But they had those guys in a blender. They had those guys in an absolute blender. And then at one point, Matt Milano, I think, is in man coverage on a back out of the backfield, and they hit him for a big gainer. So it was Sean Tucker in the red zone. I just think if I'm a Bucs fan, I am encouraged by what I saw on tape from a run game standpoint. I know it's the Bills, but I thought they were really cooking with gas in the run game. The problem is fourth quarter down 5 in a game where you can't get a stop. The ball's on 39-yard line, your own 39, mind you, but it's 4th and 2. And Todd Bowles, defensive head coach, saying, we can fix it. Like, give it back to our defense. I think I can do better this time. That's the problem sometimes with a defensive head coach where you're just too conservative because you have a built-in bias that your unit has not played well enough yet to date because of something that's controllable. In that situation, in a 5-point game where Josh Allen's in Superman mode, you've got to fucking go and hope that you can force them to kick a field goal, because that's exactly what happened. Is you punt them the ball, they go down and score, and they take time off the clock. And like that's where the game's lost to me in these shootout situations. The other thing I'll say is this, and I don't want anybody misconstruing the fact that Josh played poorly in spots in this game, but he also played like Superman. And I think that's the difference, is like where you say, hey, certain guys, how does Josh get away with it? Because it's the crazy hot scale thing. I hit this on my live stream last night.
Crazy hot scale.
Yeah, it's a white guy thing.
That's such a good take.
We talk about crazy hot.
That's so good.
There's like there's 2 axes, and on one is crazy and one's hot. The crazy hot matrix. Can you? I don't want to.
I think that there's a Venn diagram with the fuck around and find out.
You see this?
Do you see this? Scale, though?
Do you see this though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Overlap.
So fun zone, date zone, danger zone. You see the danger zone is when somebody's like real hot and real crazy, right? Like, so the point is Josh is like in that danger zone. He can live in the danger zone sometimes because he's gonna make those plays. You ask certain buddies, they're like, why do you keep putting up with that gal? Well,
basically,
there's
he's
something
just hot
you don't
enough
know.
and just crazy enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where it doesn't tip the scale in either direction. It's perfectly balanced.
I could have explained this in 15 seconds flat, guys. I think people in the chat understand Josh is that guy that straddles the line of the crazy hot scale. And so when you get the terrible pick where they send Servassier, Dennis, and Josh, all he has to do is fall out of the end zone. And this thing hasn't showed up for him in a while. What's happened the last like month of the season or since like Atlanta to me or like New England is not what we've seen the past year and a half, 2 years of football from him. He just throws the ball with 2 hands like into a crowd, dude. Like
chest pass.
We got to avoid that, brother. And again, the missing throws, like he missed 2 probable like touchdowns early in the game. But the point is he outplays himself. Mm-hmm. He finds a way to make it happen, and he does it with his legs and the whole thing. So the end result is 6 fucking touchdowns. And they turn the ball over 3 times on offense.
Yeah.
So the defense has to be fixed.
And I think to combine what Bo was saying about the defense, what you're saying about the offense is like you look at potential playoff matchups. You run into a matchup with the Colts, for example, or The Ravens sneak in, the way they can run the football. If those teams are able to control possession and you keep Josh Allen off the field, with how bad the defense is, it could be a quick exit.
Well, the problem is, and they are going to be combustible. Indy, Denver, teams that can frustrate them by just doing what we've seen in spots where it's like, hey, your guys outside just don't scare us and we can man them up.
Right.
And, we're gonna try to rush smart and have control of the quarterback. But, in games like that, I kind of worry, especially to your point, Indy can run the fucking football.
For sure.
Kansas City can't run the football. Kansas City can't run the football. They also don't have an answer for Kincaid if he ever gets back. So, I do feel like as much as they've dominated that matchup, if they play again, I still like the Bills, depending on where the game is. Looks like it would be in Buffalo. Or maybe we don't have to see it again, Facts. But, yeah, there are some matchups that kind of worry me.